know a lot of you like agriculture. We'll talk about commodities a little bit later. But so far, if I added up where I've made my biggest money in agriculture, I've actually made it out the stocks, agricultural shares. So things like Monsanto, Syngenta, Deere. And it's interesting, isn't it? When you think about it, when there's a new boom starting, you can make your money different ways. You can make your money, obviously, by investing. Let's say, for instance, in agriculture or mining, you can make it by investing in the picks and shovels, the tools that people are going to need. And what I like about the ETFs, or this particular one, you're not actually investing in wheat, corn, cotton, or what have you. What you're investing in is in agricultural companies. And you've got this clear in your workbook, all right? So you've got this exactly in your workbook. So this is an agricultural ETF, but listed in Canada. Now there's a US one, many of you know, which is MOO, M-O-O. And it's very, very similar. But you say, well, why have you gone for the Canadian dollar one? But then I've got the Canadian dollar exposure as well. And I just bought this through Swissquote, just to make it sound even more international. But any international broker, TD Waterhouse. In case you don't know TD Waterhouse, the TD is Toronto Dominion, so it's a Canadian-backed broker. So that's just an example of another ETF. Now imagine if we didn't use the ETF to get the same exposure of those stocks, we'd have to buy a lot of stocks, and some of those are not even listed in the US. This is my favourite metal ETF. Now you see how this is all a jigsaw puzzle. Do you remember who ZKB is? Yeah, the number 5 on the list. So we know it's a pretty good bank. Now, ZKB is very much a deposit taker, i.e. it doesn't give out loans. Now, this ETF is listed on the Swiss exchange. Now, every ETF is backed by real metal, right? Not a piece of paper saying, we promise to pay you. I don't want that. I want them to know it's backed by metal. How do we know that? Well, it's independently audited, and you can also call on it. You'll need enough to do that. But you see where it says it's stored in a Swiss vault. It can payment in kind you're looking for, which I know sounds a bit strange. But payment in kind means that if you want to take your metal, you can. All right. Now most ETFs don't allow physical delivery. Like for instance, a spread bet. A spread bet does not allow you to deliver physically. You always have to close it out, or they will close you out. You can't say, I want my cocoa, I want my copper, I want my coffee. They will always do that. Now you'll say, well, Vince, I don't want any of those. Fair enough. But in metal terms, it would be nice to know that I've actually got something backing it, in this case. So we've got platinum, palladium, gold, silver. As I say, it can be traded for a Swiss broker, and you also get it in Swiss francs. Now, I like all metals, especially as a store of wealth, but platinum is one of my favourite metals, and some of you know this. Although gold has shot up, and platinum has come back up. Platinum's about 1,600 an ounce at the moment, come up from 800. It's still way below the lows. Now, a lot of younger people and affluent people in China, they like platinum, not necessarily gold. Gold is much more associated with with India, the wedding season, a lot of people. But platinum seems to be something that's being quite not followed as much. And also palladium, and we did very well with palladium last year, which I also still like. So platinum is obviously rarer than gold. It's got industrial uses, so it actually gets used. And from a jewellery point of view, a lot of people want that. Most of it comes from South Africa and Russia. Supplies are tight. There's new ETFs now that have come out, so that's going to,
Commodities are a very good place to be because governments have been and will continue to print huge amounts of money. The only thing governments know to do is to spend money and print money. And they will print money as fast as they can. Now, throughout history, when people have printed a lot of money, it has led to higher prices of real assets. That's been the best way to protect yourself and often the best way to make a lot of money in periods of printing money. And as you all know, if you look at that map, this is probably the first time, certainly the first time in recorded history when nearly every government in the world is ready to run the printing presses as fast as they can. So I, anyway, think that commodities are great if the if the economy booms, and are not bad, better than most things, if the economies don't get better because of all the money, which is only suspect these days. I own a few paper currencies. I don't have any confidence in any of them. The soundest, fundamentally, are probably the Canadian dollar. The soundest philosophically is the Singapore dollar. But, even having said that, and I own both, I can give you arguments against just about all paper money these days, because everybody is trying to print money and debase their currencies and buy votes. So you must learn about other alternatives. As I said before, real assets is one alternative to paper money, and I would urge you to learn about it, as my little girls are, and I would also, 20 years was coming to an end. I was about to head out around the world for 3 years. So I wanted to invest in commodities. I decided that I would invest in a commodity index fund, because that would be a way that I could invest in commodities and not have to worry too much about sitting in front of a computer. I looked at the few commodity indexes which existed at the time. They were all hopeless. I mean, I wouldn't put my money into any of them, which I certainly told those people at the time. So I had to come up with my own index. Necessity is the mother of invention, as you well know. So I had to come up with a commodity index, which I did, and I put money into my commodity index. Funds were started, people have products. Vince said it's not traded. Well, it actually is true. You can invest in this index. There are many products, UBS, Barclays, ABN AMRO, Royal Bank of Scotland, they're called now. Lots of people have products based on this index. So that's a way, the main way, that I invest in commodities.
What I mean, Jim, by traded, you're not like saying you have weightings. There's a set formula to it. It's not like, we're going to change oil.
Oh, no. This is an index.
Like
It's not managed. If I get very bullish on something, I don't go and change the weighting. Then you don't have an index. Then you have a managed fund. As you all probably know, or if you don't, you should know, index investing outperforms 70 or 80% of most active managers year after year after year. So investing in passive investing is a better way to put it. For most people, is the best way to invest. So that's one reason I came up with this index. The weightings and the components don't change. If you have a good index, they won't change very much because you've got a sound index. So the weightings change very little. If I get wildly bullish on something, we don't increase the weighting because then it wouldn't be a sound index. Some of you have heard of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. They don't go around changing the components of the Dow Jones or the FTSE. If they get bullish on something, they keep it in there if they get bearish on something, because that's the only way you can run a sound index. So that's why this index exists. It's my way of investing in commodities, and so far it's turned out to be a great success.
Can we say what it's up so far? It's 200.
It's up about 200% over the past decade. As you all may know, stocks are up about 10% in that period of time. Bonds are up a little bit more, but it's outperformed everything in sight since it started back 10, 11, 12 years ago. Who knew? Who knew that I knew what I was doing? But
if anybody's interested, later on I'll show you the ETF.
There are ETFs.
And there's also some subsectors now. There's one which is for agriculture, and there's one for metals as well, isn't it, that's done well?
There's metals, there's agriculture, and there's energy.
Yeah.
You can invest in any component or the whole thing. I invest in all of them. Like right now, I'm more optimistic about agriculture than I am about metals. And so I increase my ownership of the agricultural index and don't increase my ownership of the metals index.
Okay.
That's how I personally, we don't change the index at all.